breathing. When you breathe, the atmosphere is at a pressure. That pressure is black hole density. It's enormous pressure in the atmosphere when you breathe it. You are made from a material that the atmosphere creates, so that you also share the same density as the atmosphere, but not quite. There is a negative pressure differential in the lung, measured. It's how breathing works using the surfactant layer. There's some excellent medical videos about it. Go and look them up, how breathing works. There's a negative pressure in the lungs, a relative vacuum to the black hole density in your lungs. Now, this is where you can see how an infinite force can have a butterfly wing can affect it. You've got two infinite forces represented by the atmosphere you breathe and the inverse reaction that creates the matter that you are. So you are at the same densities, therefore it's irrelevant what the power is that holds those two systems together. What matters is the difference between them. You're 4 millimeters of mercury less than the atmosphere, measurable in pressure. So it means that the density of the vacuum of you is also in the center of each of your molecules. Every molecule of matter, actual substance that exists, has a black hole density at the center of it. And that's the positive. That's the same as the atmosphere. That's the positive is there. By holding yourself at this negative 4 millimeters of mercury vacuum relative to the atmosphere, you're also holding yourself at the same vacuum relative to the center of the molecule where the expansion takes place. And there's a balance between them now. So you've got a journey of energy, a shortcut, a transform of the energy of light into something else. The natural cycle of light is for it to travel at infinite acceleration, so it achieves terminal velocity immediately because it has infinite acceleration, but the actual velocity is limited by the time it takes to turn inside out, 720 twist of the light itself. Each particle of light is attempting to expand with infinite acceleration in a finite space, the universe. It's replicated in your cells as a shortcut by holding this tiny differential in the way that in the matter, in the way that it expands. You hold this tiny differential to the black hole densities that you are. By breathing, you inflate. Inflate is literally the best way to consider it, because this is about vacuums and pressures, and negative and positive. Think about this. What's the difference between deflation and inflation? One thing pumps up, another deflates. Imagine the thing that's pumping up is in the space that the one that deflates creates. It's just that you end up with a cycle of inflation and deflation, and which is which. If you consider when you breathe that you are inflating every molecule, and you're just tightening the surface tension of every molecule of which you exist, and that holds the same pressure differential to the center where the nuclear force is, the rotating two-dimensional energy of mass and consciousness. Keep that inflated and everything works beautifully. And we exist, and that's life. So you've taken a shortcut. The light now has found another acceleration. If you think infinite second squared it represents infinite acceleration. And the acceleration is in terms of velocity and vector. So it can go in a straight line, or it can be going in a straight line at a fixed velocity and rotating. It's another vector has been found. It's turning and twisting. If it turns inside out, there's another vector. It's found another vector. It creates awareness of itself. and it creates it in us. So life is this cycle of pressure difference at infinite power. You have the difference between big and small. Big is enormous, small is tiny, but both exist, and that there is a friction between them, which exists. Who should be who? What's more important, bigness or smallness? And both must exist. Theory of relativity. Both must exist. If one of them exists, it must be relative to something else. Life. We call it life. Breathing is our access to it. Breathing into the water is what we do. We add energy to our water, to our surfactant layer, because we are water. What is water? Water is expanding light. It is the surface of expanding light. Water. Simple as that. The two entities exist. Big and small. Water is small, light is big. At the center of this sphere lies the rotating two-dimensional yin-yang. Bigness and smallness, black and white, positive and negative, and anti-clockwise rotation. By keeping that inflated, you stay alive, which is why breathing and water are absolute essentials of life, because they are life. It's gruff. Right, okay, I've got a cure for cancer. I'll speak to you later.